What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more video game music, and we're back with a timely piece of video game score. So on my YouTube here, I just completed a playthrough of the original Shining Force for the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive from 1992, and maybe my favorite tune in the whole game, which has excellent music throughout, is a track that plays during what turns out to be the penultimate battle. In the narrative, you're hoping it's the final battle, but then Darksol, the main enemy throughout most of the game, is on a quest to resurrect this ancient evil dark dragon, and you're trying to stop him from doing that. Now in the end, he sort of succeeds even after you defeat him, and you have to fight Dark Dragon in the final battle. But yes, it's in the penultimate battle that you finally square off against Darksol. Now it's a bit of a joke in the playthrough I did because I leveled up all my characters so strongly that Darksol didn't even get in one attack. I just ambushed him from multiple sides and took him out with a series of quick strikes. But in most playthroughs, and even playthroughs I've done in past years, certainly when I was back a teenager playing the game for the first time, it was a more difficult battle, and he can, use very strong magic and take out a number of your players in one attack. But yes, as it turns out, it was quite simple. But the music that is chosen for the Darksol battle is my favorite track, and it's perfectly fitting, it's dramatic, it's intense, there's a sense of urgency to it because, again, you're trying to stop him from resurrecting this ultimate evil incarnate, this dark dragon, which may then, rule over and destroy all the land. So I think the track has the perfect atmosphere and tenor that you would expect given the significance in the narrative of finally, after seeing him many times, but him always, being out of reach and probably too strong for you at earlier points, when you finally do fight him right near the end of the game, the intensity of the track, I think, fits the moment well. So yes, this is from series, or rather not series, but game composer Yoshimura Masahiko. This is the tune that's called Darksol Battle from the 1992 Sega Mega Drive or Genesis game, Shining Force. And again, like with most games in the 8-bit/16-bit eras, it's very short. It's a loop. It's, no more than 30-45 seconds, and it's a tune that doesn't need to do much more than what it does, meaning every time that big dramatic chord plays at the beginning, because, when you go into an attack, it has a separate music, and then it brings you back to the larger overview of the battle, and the tune starts again, and it just really gets your pulse racing, you're on the edge of your seat, because again, it's a game that takes at least a dozen or more hours of gameplay. I think my playthrough probably had like 16 to 20 hours, somewhere in there, in part because, there's some battles that I played multiple times to increase the force of my Shining Force. But yeah, so after such a long gaming playthrough, when you finally get to this end, it's very cathartic, and again, very urgent in the narrative, so I think it's very well composed, and even though the loop itself is only about 45 seconds, it's exactly what it needs to be. I mentioned this in my playthrough. The music that then plays in the final battle against Dark Dragon, it's good, and it's maybe even better than I remembered it, but I still think it's second best to this track. So yeah, to me, this is the most pulse-pounding tune in the game. So shout out to Yoshimura Masahiko, shout out to the Shining series. I mentioned before, the original game was a more old school turn-based role-playing game called Shining in the Darkness, though I think technically it takes place after Shining Force in the narrative. I think Shining Force was sort of like a prequel. In any case, the point is the series is great for the first few games. I played the original. I played Shining in the Darkness too, although it's just sort of like I classify it separately. But the original Shining Force is great. Shining Force 2 is the absolute best. Shining Force CD, which was made up of 2 like handheld games that I think were on the, what was it, the Sega Game Gear, and then they eventually released them on the Sega CD. That one is really good too, though not as good as I think either Shining Force or Shining Force 2. But the point is, I love the series, the music is great. I'm going to do a playthrough of Shining Force 2 starting soon on the channel, so anyone who didn't see the Shining Force playthrough, all 10 videos are up in the playlist, and anyone who enjoys Shining Force 2 or just curious about it, I will be doing a playthrough soon, so let me know what you think of this tune, let me know what you think of the game, and I will see you next time, as will Luca. Peace.